Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about one of the most important steps in building financial stability, creating an emergency fund. Life is full of surprises, and not all of them are good. Whether it's an unexpected car repair, a medical bill, or even losing your job, an emergency fund is your financial safety net. It gives you peace of mind and protects you from falling into debt when life throws you a curveball. If you don't already have one, don't worry. We're going to cover everything you need to know to start building your emergency fund today. Let's begin by defining what an emergency fund actually is. An emergency fund is a stash of money set aside to cover unexpected expenses or financial emergencies. The key here is that this money is separate from your everyday spending and savings accounts. It's not for vacations, new gadgets, or even planned expenses. It's strictly for true emergencies. Having an emergency fund means you don't have to rely on credit cards or loans when something unexpected happens. Now, how much should you save? The general rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This includes essentials like rent or mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, and transportation. If your job or income is unstable, you might want to aim closer to 6 months, or even more. On the other hand, if you have a steady job and minimal financial obligations, 3 months might be sufficient to start with. The amount you need will depend on your individual circumstances, but the important thing is to start building your fund as soon as possible. So, where do you keep your emergency fund? Ideally, it should be in a high-yield savings account. This allows your money to earn some interest while remaining easily accessible when you need it. Avoid tying it up in investments like stocks, as these can fluctuate in value and may not be immediately available in a downturn. The goal is safety and liquidity. You want the money to be there when you need it, without the risk of losing value. One of the most common questions people have is, how do I save for an emergency fund when I'm already living paycheck to paycheck? The answer lies in starting small. You don't need to save thousands of dollars overnight. Begin with a modest goal, like $500 or $1,000. This smaller fund can cover most minor emergencies, like a car repair or medical bill. Once you reach that first milestone, you can gradually work your way toward a larger fund. In the next section, we'll discuss practical strategies to build your emergency fund faster, even on a tight budget. We'll look at ways to cut expenses, boost your income, and make saving a consistent habit. Let's take the first steps toward building a financial safety net that gives you peace of mind. Now that we've covered the basics of what an emergency fund is and why it's important, let's dive into the strategies that can help you build your fund faster. Whether you're on a tight budget or just looking for ways to save more efficiently, there are plenty of actionable steps you can take to make progress quickly. The first step is to track your spending. You can't save money if you don't know where it's going. Spend a month reviewing your expenses and identify areas where you might be overspending. Maybe it's dining out, streaming subscriptions you don't use, or impulse purchases. These are all opportunities to redirect money into your emergency fund. Remember, small changes can add up. Even cutting back by $50 or $100 a month can make a big difference over time. Next, let's talk about automating your savings. One of the easiest ways to save consistently is to set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account. Treat it like a bill you have to pay every month, except this bill is paying your future self. Start with an amount you're comfortable with, even if it's just $25 or $50 a month, and increase it as your finances allow. The key is consistency. Once the money is out of your checking account, you'll be less tempted to spend it. Another great strategy is to use windfalls to boost your fund. Anytime you receive unexpected money, like a tax refund, work bonus, or even a gift, consider putting a portion, or all of it, into your emergency fund. This is an easy way to make big progress quickly, without affecting your regular budget. If you're looking to speed things up even more, consider finding ways to increase your income. This could mean taking on a side hustle, freelancing, or selling items you no longer need. Side hustles like driving for a delivery service, tutoring, or offering your skills on platforms like Fiverr can provide a steady stream of extra cash. Use that money exclusively for your emergency fund, and you'll reach your goal much faster. Let's also talk about finding hidden savings. Sometimes you don't need to earn more money. You just need to make better use of what you already have. For example, negotiate your bills. Many service providers, like internet and cable companies, are willing to lower your rate if you ask. Shop around for cheaper insurance, or switch to a credit card with no annual fee. Cancel any subscriptions or memberships you don't use. These small adjustments can free up more money to save without drastically changing your lifestyle. Finally, consider opening a separate high-yield savings account specifically for your emergency fund. Keeping this money in a dedicated account helps you avoid the temptation to dip into it for non-emergencies. Look for an account that offers competitive interest rates, no monthly fees, and easy access when you need it. Watching your emergency fund grow over time can also be incredibly motivating and keep you focused on your goal. In the next section, we'll explore how to maintain your emergency fund once it's built, and why it's important to periodically review and adjust it as your life and financial situation change. Let's ensure your financial safety net remains strong and reliable for the long term. Now that you've started building your emergency fund, let's focus on maintaining it and ensuring it stays strong over the long term. An emergency fund isn't something you set and forget. It's a living part of your financial plan that requires occasional attention to make sure it continues to serve its purpose effectively. The first step to maintaining your emergency fund is to set clear rules for when you can use it. Remember, this money is for true emergencies, things like unexpected medical expenses, car repairs, or losing your job. It's not for vacations, holiday shopping, or other planned expenses. Having these boundaries in place will help you protect your fund and ensure it's there when you really need it. Next, it's important to periodically review the size of your emergency fund. As your life changes, so do your financial needs. For example, if you've moved to a more expensive area, started a family, or taken on new financial responsibilities, you may need to increase the amount in your fund. On the other hand, if your expenses have decreased or you've built other safety nets, like investments, you might find that your fund is already sufficient. Make it a habit to review your emergency fund at least once a year and adjust it as needed. Another important habit is to replenish your fund after you use it. Life happens, and sometimes you'll need to dip into your emergency savings. That's okay. That's what it's there for. But once the emergency has passed, make it a priority to rebuild your fund as quickly as possible. Go back to the strategies we discussed earlier, like automating your savings or using windfalls to restore your safety net. Let's also talk about balancing your financial priorities. Once your emergency fund is fully funded, you might be tempted to keep adding to it, but this isn't always the best use of your money. After all, your emergency fund is meant to be a safety net, not a replacement for other financial goals. Once you've reached your target amount, focus on other priorities, like paying off debt, investing for retirement, or saving for a big purchase. This way, your money continues to work for you and helps you build a more secure future. Lastly, don't forget to celebrate your progress. Building an emergency fund takes time and discipline, so give yourself credit for every milestone you reach. Whether it's saving your first $500 or fully funding 3 to 6 months of expenses, these achievements deserve recognition. Celebrating your wins helps keep you motivated and reinforces the positive habits you've developed along the way. To wrap things up, an emergency fund is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your financial toolkit. It provides peace of mind, protects you from debt, and gives you the confidence to face life's unexpected challenges. By following the steps we've discussed, starting small, saving consistently, and maintaining your fund over time, you can build a safety net that sets you up for long-term financial success. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more tips on managing your money and building wealth. And let me know in the comments, how are you working toward building your emergency fund? I'd love to hear your tips and progress. Until next time, take care and stay financially savvy.